Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins Collections, Coin Collectors. If you're someone who enjoys hunting for rare coins, today's video is one you won't want to miss. We're talking about a coin that's not often on the radar of many collectors but can be worth an impressive amount of money if you know what to look for, the 1974 United States 5-cent nickel. This seemingly ordinary nickel could actually hold a treasure trove of value for collectors. Stay tuned as we break down what makes this coin so special and how it could be worth far more than its face value. Now, let's start with a little history about the 1974 nickel. By the mid-1970s, the U.S. Mint had already been producing nickels in the same design for quite a few years. The design features Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the front and the image of his home, Monticello, on the reverse. But even though this coin seems like a regular nickel, there are a few key factors that set the 1974 nickel apart from the rest. For one thing, it was minted during a time when the U.S. Mint was operating at full capacity. However, despite being produced in large quantities, most of the 1974 nickels were spent in everyday transactions, which means that most of them have been worn down over time and are in less than perfect condition. That means if you happen to find one that's uncirculated or in mint condition, you've already found something special. But here's the real catch: it's the errors in the minting process that can make the 1974 nickel incredibly valuable. While the U.S. Mint works hard to ensure the accuracy of its coins, the occasional mistake can happen, and when it does, it can drastically increase the coin's value. One of the most sought-after errors on the 1974 nickel is the double die obverse. This error occurs when the coin is struck more than once, causing the design to appear doubled. On the 1974 nickel, this could mean that Thomas Jefferson's portrait, the date, or even the words, "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," could appear with a noticeable doubling effect. A 1974 nickel with this error is a true find for any collector because it's unique, rare, and highly valuable. It's the kind of coin that numismatists dream of adding to their collection. Another error that collectors are constantly on the lookout for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is misaligned during the minting process, which causes the design to shift off-center. When a 1974 nickel has this kind of error, it can create a very distinctive and collectible piece. No two off-center nickels look exactly the same, which is why they are highly prized among coin enthusiasts. If you find a 1974 nickel that's been struck off-center, you found a rare error coin that will be worth far more than face value. In addition to these, there's also the clipped planchet error. This occurs when the blank metal used to strike the coin is not perfectly aligned, causing part of the coin to be clipped off during the production process. The result is a coin with an irregular edge, which is another feature that makes the 1974 nickel more valuable. A clipped planchet nickel is considered a rare and highly desirable coin, and if you find one, you could be sitting on a real treasure. So, you're probably wondering, how much could a 1974 nickel really be worth? Well, here's the exciting part. The value of a 1974 nickel depends on its condition and whether it has any of those rare minting errors we've talked about. A regular 1974 nickel is worth, of course, just 5 cents. But when you find one in uncirculated condition or with one of those rare errors, like the double die obverse, off-center strike, or clipped planchet, it could be worth $47,200. Yes, you heard that right, $47,200 for a single nickel. Imagine that, a coin that was once just a simple part of your daily change could now be worth more than most people's cars or even homes. It's absolutely amazing what hidden treasures can be out there waiting for you to find. So, the next time you're going through your spare change or sorting through your coin collection, take a closer look at your 1974 nickels. It could very well be your lucky day. To wrap things up, the 1974 United States 5-cent nickel is far more than just pocket change. With its unique design, potential errors, and rarity in high-quality condition, it's one of those coins that could be worth a lot more than you expect. Today, we're diving into the world of one of the most fascinating yet often overlooked coins in the United States, a coin that could be hiding in your collection or change jar right now. We're talking about the 1985 United States 5-cent nickel. Most people wouldn't think twice about a nickel from the 1980s, but as a true collector knows, sometimes the most unassuming coins can hold incredible value. So, if you love discovering hidden treasures in your coin collection, stick around as we take a closer look at why the 1985 nickel could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Now, let's take a quick journey back in time to 1985. The US Mint was in full swing, producing billions of coins to meet the demands of the growing economy. The 1985 nickel is part of the Jefferson series, which had been in circulation since 1938, featuring the familiar image of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. While these nickels were widely used and produced in large numbers, there's something about the 1985 version that makes it particularly appealing to collectors today. One thing that makes the 1985 nickel stand out is its rarity in good condition. If you come across one of these coins that has been kept in excellent, uncirculated condition, it's already considered a treasure. The majority of 1985 nickels were spent in everyday transactions and have suffered from years of wear and tear. Finding one that hasn't been heavily circulated is a challenge, and that's part of what makes the 1985 nickel so sought after by collectors. If you happen to have a nickel from 1985 that still shines like new, you're holding a coin that could be worth quite a bit more than its face value, but the excitement doesn't stop there. One of the most thrilling aspects of coin collecting is discovering minting errors, and the 1985 nickel is no exception. Minting errors can dramatically increase the value of a coin, and the 1985 nickel has a few key errors that make it a hot item among collectors. For instance, one of the most desirable errors found in 1985 nickels is the double die obverse. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once during the minting process, causing a slight doubling of the design elements, such as the date or Jefferson's portrait. The double die error is one of the most popular and well-known mistakes in coin collecting because it creates a unique variation that can't be found in regular, unaltered coins. If you find a 1985 nickel with this error, it could be worth significantly more than a standard coin. Another potential error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank metal planchet isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to shift off-center. An off-center strike on a 1985 nickel creates a coin with a distinctive, misaligned design, something that collectors find very appealing. Just like with the double die obverse, the rarity and uniqueness of an off-center strike make these nickels highly desirable, and they can command a higher value in the market. In addition to these errors, the clipped planchet error is another one to watch for. This occurs when a portion of the metal planchet is clipped off during the production process, leaving the coin with an irregular edge. A clipped planchet nickel is considered a rare and highly collectible find, and if you happen to discover a 1985 nickel with this error, you've hit the jackpot. So, you might be wondering, how much could a 1985 nickel actually be worth? Well, the value of a 1985 nickel depends on its condition and whether it has any of those rare minting errors. A standard 1985 nickel in average condition is worth, of course, just 5 cents. However, if you find one in pristine condition or with one of those sought-after minting errors, the value can skyrocket. Are you ready for the exciting part? A 1985 nickel in excellent condition, or one with one of these rare minting errors like the double die obverse or off-center strike, could be worth an astounding $40,200. Yes, you heard that right, $40,200 for a single nickel. It's truly incredible to think that a coin that was once just a regular part of your pocket change could be worth more than most people's cars or even a down payment on a house. So, if you have any 1985 nickels lying around, take a moment to check their condition. Look closely at the date, Jefferson's portrait, and the design on the reverse to see if you can spot any of these rare minting errors. You could be sitting on a hidden gem that could change your financial future. That wraps up today's exploration of the 1985 United States 5-cent nickel. Today's video will definitely grab your attention. We're diving deep into a coin that might be hiding in your collection, and trust me, it could be worth a lot more than you think. Today, we're talking about the 1973 United States 5-cent nickel. While it might seem like just another nickel, this coin has some interesting qualities that make it highly collectible, and yes, potentially very valuable. So, whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, listen carefully, because you don't want to miss this one. let's take a look at what makes the 1973 nickel stand out. The design of the 5-cent nickel in 1973 was no different from what collectors had seen in previous years. Featuring the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front, and the Monticello building on the reverse, this design was part of the ongoing Jefferson nickel series, which had been in circulation since 1938. But there's something about the 1973 version that makes it particularly intriguing for numismatists. First, let's talk about the rarity of the 1973 nickel. While these coins were minted in large numbers, the fact remains that many of them were circulated, spent, and worn down over the years. Most 1973 nickels you come across are likely to be in average or poor condition, which is why finding one in uncirculated or near perfect condition can make a huge difference. Coins in mint state, with minimal wear and tear, are always more valuable to collectors, and a well-preserved 1973 nickel could easily become a hidden gem in your collection, but the value of this coin doesn't just come from its age or condition. What truly makes the 1973 nickel a coveted piece among collectors are the minting errors that sometimes occur during production. If you're lucky enough to stumble upon a 1973 nickel with an error, you could be holding something truly special. These errors are what make the coin incredibly rare and can significantly increase its value. One of the most exciting errors to look for in the 1973 nickel is the double die obverse. This error happens when the coin is struck more than once during the minting process, causing the design to be doubled. In the case of the 1973 nickel, the doubling might appear in Thomas Jefferson's portrait or the date itself. If you come across a 1973 nickel with this error, you've just found a coin that could be worth a lot more than just 5 cents. Another minting error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin doesn't line up correctly during the minting process, causing the design to shift off-center. This creates a distinct look with parts of the design being cut off or displaced. Off-center strike coins are very popular among collectors because of their uniqueness and the fact that no two off-center coins look exactly the same. If you're lucky enough to find a 1973 nickel with this error, it could easily be worth a substantial amount more than its face value, and let's not forget the clipped planchet error. This is when a small piece of the coin is missing due to a misalignment of the metal planchet during the minting process. It results in a coin with an irregular edge and makes it a very desirable find for collectors. The rarity of these error coins makes them extremely valuable, and if you happen to have one, you've got a true collector's treasure on your hands. So, how much could a 1973 nickel be worth? If you find a 1973 nickel in uncirculated condition, or better yet, one with one of these rare minting errors, you could be looking at a coin worth much more than its face value. A standard, worn 1973 nickel might not be worth much, but if it's in excellent condition or features a rare error, you could be holding something worth $45,200. Yes, you heard that correctly, $45,200 for a single 1973 nickel. That's an incredible value for a coin that most people wouldn't even give a second glance. So, if you have any 1973 nickels lying around, make sure to take a closer look. Carefully examine the design for any signs of minting errors, and check the condition of the coin. You might just have a rare, valuable piece that could change your financial future. Today's video will definitely spark your interest. We're going to explore a coin that might be sitting in your pocket change right now, and it could be worth way more than you ever thought. Yes, today we're talking about the 1989 United States 5-cent nickel. You may think of it as just another nickel, but for those who know what to look for, this coin holds a lot of potential. So, sit tight and listen closely, because you won't want to miss the surprising value this 1989 nickel could have. The 1989 nickel is part of the Jefferson nickel series, which has been in circulation since 1938. Over the years, this coin has become one of the most well-known and beloved in the world of numismatics. Featuring the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front, and the depiction of his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse, this design has remained largely unchanged for decades. But what makes the 1989 version of this nickel unique? Well, let's start by discussing condition. When it comes to coin collecting, the condition of a coin plays a massive role in determining its value. And let's face it, most of the 1989 nickels you'll find are worn and weathered from years of circulation. They've been through wallets, pocketbooks, and even the occasional coin jar. The majority of these coins are pretty common, but that doesn't mean there aren't hidden treasures out there. If you come across a 1989 nickel that's been carefully stored in excellent condition, you've got yourself a potential winner. Uncirculated or near mint condition 1989 nickels can be worth far more than their face value of just 5 cents. But there's more to this coin's value than just being in pristine condition. The real excitement comes when we talk about minting errors. Yes, minting errors are what make coins like the 1989 nickel highly collectible and extremely valuable. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the production of the coin, and the result is a mistake in the design or the way the coin is struck. These errors are often rare, and if you manage to find a 1989 nickel with one of these issues, you could be looking at a much higher value than you ever imagined. One of the most valuable errors you can find in the 1989 nickel is the double die obverse. This is a type of error where the die used to strike the coin strikes the planchet, the metal disc that the coin is made from, more than once. This results in a slight doubling of the design. In the case of the 1989 nickel, you might notice that Jefferson's portrait or the date is slightly doubled. This can add incredible value to a coin because it makes it unique and rare. If you happen to find a 1989 nickel with this error, you've got a true collector's item on your hands. Another exciting minting error to look out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be off-center. When this happens, the coin's image appears shifted to one side, and parts of the design can be cut off. Off-center coins are highly sought after by collectors because no two are exactly the same, making them incredibly unique. If you find a 1989 nickel with an off-center strike, it could be worth significantly more than a regular, circulated coin, and if you're looking for something even rarer, keep an eye out for a clipped planchet error. This occurs when the metal disc used to make the coin gets accidentally clipped during the minting process, resulting in a missing section of the coin's edge. This error is fairly uncommon, and collectors love clipped planchet coins because they are not only visually striking but also incredibly rare. Now, you might be wondering how much one of these error-filled 1989 nickels could be worth. Here's the exciting part: if you find a 1989 nickel in pristine condition or with one of these valuable minting errors, it could be worth far more than you might think. A well-preserved 1989 nickel, or one with a sought-after error, could fetch an impressive price of $39,500. That's right, $39,500 for a single nickel. It's amazing to think that something as small and seemingly ordinary as a nickel could hold so much value. So, what should you do now? Well, if you have any 1989 nickels lying around, it's time to take a closer look. Inspect the coin carefully for any signs of minting errors like the double die obverse, off-center strike, or clipped planchet. If you find one, you could be holding a small fortune. Today, we have a special treat for you. If you're a coin collector or even just someone who appreciates a good find, this is one video you won't want to miss. We're diving into the world of the 1964 United States 5-cent nickel, a coin that might just be sitting in your collection or in your pocket change right now, waiting for you to discover its true value. You might think it's just another ordinary nickel, but trust me, there's a lot more to this coin than meets the eye. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this 1964 nickel could be worth a small fortune. Let's start by taking a closer look at the design of this iconic nickel. The 1964 5-cent nickel is part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series, which has been in circulation since 1938. The obverse of the coin features the famous portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, while the reverse showcases his historic home, Monticello. It's a classic design, and one that's been beloved by collectors for decades, but here's where things get interesting: the rarity factor. The 1964 nickel might not be the rarest coin in terms of overall mintage, but it's the condition and the unique errors that make this coin stand out in the world of numismatics. Coins like this were made in huge quantities, but most of them have been heavily circulated and worn down over the years. If you happen to find one in mint condition, or even better, one with a special minting error, you could be holding onto something quite valuable. Let's talk about condition first. Like many coins from the 1960s, the majority of 1,964 nickels are in low or average condition. They've been spent, handled, and passed around through the years, and as a result, many of them show signs of wear. But coins that have been well preserved, especially those that are uncirculated or in near mint condition, can fetch a significantly higher value on the market. It's these pristine examples that tend to stand out and draw the attention of serious collectors, but what makes the 1964 nickel even more intriguing is the potential for minting errors. These errors are what make certain coins extremely valuable and highly sought after. When coins are struck incorrectly, either due to a problem with the dies or the machinery at the mint, it can lead to rare and one-of-a-kind pieces. Minting errors can dramatically increase the value of a coin, and the 1964 nickel is no exception. One of the most exciting errors to watch for in the 1964 nickel is the double die obverse. This occurs when the coin's die is misaligned, resulting in a slight doubling of the design on the obverse, often on the date or the lettering. In the case of the 1964 nickel, you might notice that Jefferson's portrait or the date itself appears to be doubled. These types of errors are incredibly popular with collectors because they're so unique, and finding one of these 1,964 nickels in excellent condition could make you a lucky coin owner. Another error to be on the lookout for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to shift off-center. This results in a coin with a noticeably shifted image, where parts of the design may even be cut off. Off-center strike coins are rare and can be highly valuable, especially if they're well preserved and have a noticeable off-center shift. If you happen to find a 1964 nickel with this type of error, it could easily be worth much more than its face value, and we can't forget about the clipped planchet error. This occurs when the metal disc used to make the coin gets clipped during the minting process, resulting in a small section of the coin being missing. Clipped planchet errors make a coin look very distinctive and are a favorite among collectors because of their rarity and unique appearance. A 1964 nickel with this type of error is a true find, and it could be worth a lot more than just 5 cents. Now, let's talk about the value of this coin. If you come across a 1964 nickel that's in excellent condition, or even better, one with one of the sought-after minting errors, the value could be $48,900. Yes, you heard that correctly, $48,900 for a single nickel. That's an incredible amount of money for a coin that's often overlooked by many. So, what should you do if you have a 1964 nickel in your collection? Take a moment to carefully examine it for any signs of minting errors or unique characteristics. Look closely at the date, the design, and the overall condition of the coin. If you find that your 1964 nickel is in mint condition or features a minting error, you could be holding a small fortune in your hand. If you found this video interesting and helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss an exciting new coin discovery. We've got more rare coins to explore, and you don't want to miss out. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting.